Once upon a time, in the grand kingdom of Umudike, there lived a girl named Olanna. She was the most beautiful maiden in the land, with her hair as dark as the midnight sky and eyes that sparkled like the morning sun. But despite her beauty, Olanna was mean and proud. She mocked those who were less fortunate, laughed at children who wore old clothes, and never shared her wealth with the poor. Whenever people praised another's beauty or kindness, she scoffed. No one can be as perfect as me, she would say. One morning, Olanna strolled through the village market in her finest silk gown. As she admired herself in a merchant's bronze mirror, she heard a soft voice behind her. "Good morning, Lady Olanna," said Amaka, the weaver's daughter, bowing respectfully. "I made this scarf with my own hands. Would you like to buy one?" She held up a delicate scarf woven from soft cotton, its pattern simple but elegant. Olanna wrinkled her nose. "You expect me to wear something so cheap? Look at you, dusty hands, rough clothes. You will never be good enough to make anything for me." Amaka's face burned with embarrassment as Olanna laughed, tossing a gold coin at her feet. "Here, take this. Maybe one day you can afford to dress like me." The crowd murmured in disapproval, but no one dared to challenge Olanna. Another day, as Olanna walked along the riverbank, she spotted an old woman sitting beneath a tree. The woman's clothes were tattered, and her frail hands trembled as she held out a small wooden bowl. "Please, my lady," the old woman pleaded, "a little food or coin for an old woman with no family." Ola scoffed and stepped back. "Do not come near me. You smell like rotten fish." She covered her nose and turned to her maid. "People like her should stay far from the roads meant for nobles like me." Tears welled up in the old woman's eyes, but Olanna only tossed a crust of stale bread at her feet. "Here, eat this if you're so desperate." Then she walked away, laughing with her friends. During the annual harvest festival, the village held a dance where young men and women gathered to celebrate. Many of the noble sons had asked Olanna to dance, but she turned them down, waiting for the richest and most handsome suitor. Then Obinna, the son of a hardworking farmer, stepped forward and bowed. "Lady Olanna, may I have this dance?" The crowd fell silent. Though Obinna was strong and kind, his clothes were plain and his hands bore the marks of a man who walked the fields. Olanna gasped in horror. "You dance with me? Are you out of your mind?" She turned to the crowd and laughed. "A farmer's son, thinking he can dance with me. What a joke." Obinna lowered his gaze, humiliated. But before he could walk away, a noble girl stepped forward and took his hand. "I will dance with you, Obinna," she said kindly. The crowd cheered for the kind girl, while many whispered about Olanna's cruelty. One day, An old woman carrying a small golden mirror arrived in the village market. This mirror reveals the true heart of the one who looks into it, she announced. Curious Olanna snatched it from her hands and gazed into its surface. To her horror, the reflection staring back at her was not beautiful at all. Instead, she saw a face twisted with pride, eyes filled with cruelty, and lips curled into a mean sneer. This must be broken, Olanna cried, throwing the mirror to the ground. But instead of shattering, the mirror spoke. Your true beauty is not in your face, but in your heart. Change your ways, or soon this reflection will be your reality. Terrified, Olanna rushed home. She scrubbed her face, changed her clothes, and even tried expensive perfumes. But every time she looked in the mirror, the ugly reflection remained. Days passed, and people began noticing that Olanna no longer looked as beautiful as before. Her skin had lost its glow, and her once sparkling eyes became dull. Her pride turned to shame, and for the first time, she felt what it was like to be looked down upon. Desperate, she sought out the old woman and begged for help. The only way to change your reflection is to change your heart, the woman said. Be kind, be humble, show love to those around you, and your true beauty will return. Olanna took her words to heart. She began treating people with kindness, helping the poor, and speaking gently. Days after her encounter with the mirror, Olanna walked into the market, her heart pounding. She spotted Amaka, the weaver's daughter, whom she had humiliated weeks ago. Amaka was weaving a new set of scarves, her fingers moving skillfully over the threads. Olanna hesitated, then approached Amaka. She said softly, Your scarves, they are beautiful, truly beautiful. Amaka looked up in shock. Are you mocking me again? Olanna shook her head. No, I came to buy one. The market fell silent as Olanna handed Amaka 5 gold coins, far more than the scarf's worth. This is for all the times I was unkind, she added. Tears welled in Amaka's eyes as she handed Olanna a scarf. Thank you, she whispered. As Olanna wrapped the scarf around her shoulders, she felt something strange. The mirror's ugly reflection had slightly faded. Determined to change, Olanna ventured to the river bank, where she had once insulted a frail old beggar woman. She found the woman sitting under the same tree, her wooden bowl still empty. This time, instead of turning away, Olanna knelt before her. Mother, I was cruel to you before. Please forgive me. The old woman looked at her in surprise. Why do you kneel before an old beggar? Olanna pulled out a warm loaf of bread, a bowl of soup, and a pouch of coins. Because I want to share what I have. The old woman took the food, her hands shaking. You have changed, my child. Olanna smiled as she helped the woman eat. As she did, she felt a warmth in her chest. The mirror square reflection faded even. At the next harvest festival, Olanna arrived at the village square, no longer dressed in extravagant silks, but in a simple, elegant gown. The people whispered, unsure of what to expect. When the music started, Olanna walked through the crowd toward Obina, the farmer's son. Obina, she said, bowing slightly, may I have this dance? The crowd gasped. The same girl who once humiliated him was now asking him to dance? Obina hesitated, but then he saw something different in her eyes: humility, kindness, and sincerity. He took her hand, and together they danced beneath the golden moonlight. The villagers cheered. Olanna had truly changed. As she twirled across the dance floor, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in a silver tray. Her beauty had fully returned, but now it was more than just skin deep. From that day on, Olanna never mocked or belittled anyone again. She learned that true beauty comes from kindness and humility, not just appearance. And somewhere in the village, the golden mirror remained, waiting to teach its lesson to the next person who needed it. And now, to the moral of the story. Pride and cruelty make even the most beautiful person ugly, but kindness and humility make a person truly shine. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.